Welcome everybody to the Cast from the Coast. My name is Adam Oz and I'm joined as always by Josh Lambert, Aaron Peerless, and Tim Johnson. What are we talking about tonight, Tim?
We are talking about the 1988 Sleepaway Camp 2 Unhappy Campers.
Stay tuned. Give us the synopsis, Tim.
Is there one? Angela is now reformed and living under an assumed surname, working at a summer camp. However, when the campers start misbehaving, she soon reverts to her old ways.
Soon?
Soon.
Like right off the freaking bat? Like, okay.
I think it was about 5 minutes into it, wasn't it?
Pretty well.
Oh, man. Okay,
So-
so go ahead, Josh.
I was really confused when this movie started. Imagine that. The first character they introduced, and she's like, I'm Angela. And I'm like, what, they couldn't pick another fucking name for another character? Like, they had to use the same name as the murderer from the first movie? And then I found out, oh no, this is the Angela. All right then, continue.
Angela Johnson, not Angela Baker. But yeah, whatever. Okay, so talk about the story here for a minute. So this all, spoiler alert, everybody. So this literally has to do with like 5 years later, after the events of Arawak, Angela has been in the system. She was in an sane asylum essentially. And she went through a full transgender change, so she is now fully she.
Sexual reassignment.
Sexual
surgery.
reassignment surgery, so officially
Electroshock.
an electroshock and everything else. So now Angela is a counselor at this wonderful, prestigious, not even prestigious by any chance, camp, sleepaway camp for kids.
100 kilometers away from the other one. I think they referred to that a couple
I
times.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's about like
100 miles.
100 miles away or something from the other one.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, Angela really has a penchant for thinking that if somebody's being bad, they need to die. And it's weird. It's a weird. I remember
It's
watching
not,
this
though.
movie many
It's
times.
just a slasher movie. It's the same thing as Friday.
Yeah,
Jason
the
kills
problem.
people that are bad.
Yeah, Jason doesn't, walk around as a camp counselor though, going,
No.
"Oh, I sent them home, by the way."
Well, yeah, it's just,
Which is like the weirdest
up in the head.
situation. Yeah, she's messed up in the head. So, okay. In this movie, we have a whole bunch of characters that are just basically fodder for the story and the synopsis. Just for
And
what it
breasts.
is. For what?
And breasts.
and breast, he said.
And breasts.
Yeah.
This movie literally, oh man, it's almost like they just decided to say, okay, what do we need to do with this movie? Okay, well, we need to bring Angela back.
Yeah.
Oh, check. Yeah, we're going to bring Angela back, but it's going to be a different Angela, so to speak, right? On the other side of things. What else do we need? We need tits.
No, I think it went. Okay, we need it. We need some good gore and some murders. And
No,
and the other
that
guy's
was
just sitting
later down the list.
No, there's another guy sitting at the end of the table. He's like, no.
Boobs!
Boobs!
Milky jugs.
And then everybody goes, give him a raise, because that's exactly what's going to be a priority in this movie. Just everybody's going to take their shirts off, men, women, everybody. There's going to be boobs of all kinds in this movie,
And mullets. And mullets.
and mullets.
Boobs.
Oh
and
my
mullet.
god.
Yeah.
Okay. My favorite character in this is TC.
Yeah.
He looked like
Yeah.
fucking. He looked like fucking. What's his name from fucking Full House?
Dumb and Dumber is what he reminded me of.
The
What do you
fucking
mean,
guy
Dumb
from
and
Full
Dumber,
House.
yeah.
What was his name? Not Uncle Jesse.
Joey.
I know who you
Uncle
mean.
Joey.
the
yeah.
other one.
Cut
Yeah.
it out. That guy.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god! The whole time, that's all I was like, oh fuck, here comes Uncle Joey.
Oh man. Yeah. So as it stands, we have. I'm not going to go through the entire list of characters. Let's just talk about the main one. So we have Angela. So Felissa Rose, as she told us in the interview, did not get the role of, Angela in this movie.
Dodged
And-
a bullet.
What?
She dodged a bullet.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, Felissa, we love you to death. You dodged a bullet with this.
But
Now that
can you not think just for a moment how much better the movie would have been if it would have been her?
I think so. I think
Like
that
at least there
better.
would have been that. It would have felt more connected because it is Angela. You know what I
It
mean?
would, but this helps me disconnect it from the masterpiece that is the original.
Yeah, that's very. I couldn't have said it better.
I love your choice of words, Josh, because we love the fact that you X'd the first one the way that you did. So
If you
yeah.
X this one, I'm done with this show. Okay?
It does astonish me that a movie that I've never even seen quickly became one of my top 5 horror films that sits on that
Nice.
top element shelf.
Yep.
And then I watched the sequel.
And then I watched the sequel. Dun dun dun. So playing the role of Angela this time around under the assumed surname of Johnson. So it's Angela Johnson in this one instead of Baker, which it comes out later.
You
Angela
just
Baker.
said my last name with so much disdain.
Because it's a
Yes.
fake name.
Johnson.
Because it's such a fake name for fake people.
Oh.
Oh.
Maybe it's a play on words because,
That's
Oh,
funny.
penis!
yeah, Johnson, right? You get your Johnson removed, so they're going to call it Johnson anyway, right? Like, I don't know.
I mean, let's just
Maybe.
let's just go with Aaron's theory. I like Aaron's theory.
Go
They took-
on IMDb and add that to the trivia.
I will.
She,
Yeah.
she no
Just no
longer has
longer.
a Johnson in this movie, so they had to give it to her
That's
somehow.
why she was named Johnson.
It's her last name is Johnson in this.
Right.
That's right.
See?
So played by Pamela Springsteen, daughter of Bruce Springsteen, by the way, the
No
famous
fucking
musician.
way! I didn't know that.
Yeah, and she's actually, I was looking her up on like IMDb and checking out like what she's been doing since these movies, because she did like these movies and like one other thing, and that was it. Like she was done with Hollywood at that point. But what she did do was she became a pretty prestigious photographer. She's worked with like everybody in the industry for like cover art, magazine shoots, and everything. Like she's done an incredible job. She's worked with like all like the major like rappers and artists from Los Angeles. Like she's done like album covers for like Snoop Dogg and Ice Cube and I think Notorious B.I.G. and all this kind of stuff. Like she's really good, like good photography. So she's kind of moved on to other things,
Cool.
which suit her entirely, because nothing against her. She was probably other than TC, she was the best part of this damn movie. She
Yeah.
was out there. She played a character, not the Angela that I would have wanted, but the Angela that she played wasn't terrible, and was probably the best part to keep the movie going. So I give her some praise for that.
She convinced me that she was crazy.
Oh hell yeah! Like I said, she played the role good.
Yeah.
She really was batshit crazy in this movie, like, and such a sweet aspect to it too, which is weird. She was just like all cuddly and happy all the time, but yet you can all see the gears going in the back of the head, right? It's really good. So Pamela Springsteen played Angela in this movie, and it was interesting because once again she's now a camp counselor. We have TC, so
Uncle
Tim's
Joey.
Uncle Joey character TC, who
Mr. Mullet.
is Mr. Mullet,
His
who's
mullet
there.
was magnificent.
Oh, it was
It was
fantastic.
all. It was like one just thing.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfectly, yeah.
I don't know. Do you guys consider that he went out like a bitch in this movie, though?
I don't care.
I don't
Like
care.
I wasn't heartbroken about it.
Remind me, Adam.
No, I'm not even getting into that. Then we have Uncle John. Uncle John is the man who's trying to bring back, camping, and everything's great and there's no problems here. And him and Angela have an interesting relationship. I just want to talk about that for a minute because he puts a lot of trust in her in this movie. And it comes to the point where she's like, she murders like some kid and she's like, I sent them home this morning. What? You should really be talking to me about this, Angela. I'll do it next time, Uncle John. You know what I mean? There's like a real corniness to it. And he relies on her heavily for like everything, her and TC basically. But
You want to know what I like? He wasn't a pervert.
yeah, like that was
Like
a
he
total
wasn't like
opposite
the first
situation.
fucking camp owner from the original. He was just just owned a camp.
Yeah.
He was just a
And
nice
the camp
guy.
owner from the third one was a perv too. He was just a normal everyday guy, just trying to make a buck,
Yep.
living the American dream.
Oh man, there are just a ton of characters in here. I'm not even going to go through the actual actors and actresses themselves, but to a point, one of my other favorite sets of characters in this were the Shote sisters.
Yeah.
just
The stoners.
because, yeah, the stoners, because really they put a lot of emphasis on these characters being there. You know what I mean? And they had they called them the shit sisters, and it was everything was about them, and they kind of went out in a fun way. I like the way that they died, but Aaron will talk about the effects work a little bit later because that was not the strong point of that scene, but it was kind of fun. In my opinion,
was TC actually hitting on Ange in the first few scenes? You know how they kind of meet up, and
I think so.
I think he
he's like-
was.
he's like, he's like,
Yeah. I thought his game was off.
That is
I
good.
think
Yeah, he was like,
yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
He was very oblivious to the fact that he's just a very hard, pushy guy. You know what I mean? And that mullet doesn't do him anything.
How many camp counselors were there really? Because I
I
only
think it
saw.
was just the two.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. There's
Right.
a boys' camp and a girls' camp.
Okay, and that was it. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a small camp, really.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
'cause-
not run by perverts. They don't got that kind of backing to hire multiple.
Oh man. Yeah, no, there was only really, when you look at it, there was maybe like a dozen, 14 or so maybe at the most, like campers in the actual movie that appear.
Yeah.
And some of them are just background characters.
Did you guys do like? I guess there's a couple different versions of this movie that exist. Like there's the actual
One of
like
those.
there's one that like actually shows a lot of the gore gags. Because the version I watched didn't.
No, the version that I watched was
But like
There's a lot to the
did some
imagination.
research on YouTube, and there's actually like the extended little bit of that gag, and it's like, holy shit, this would have at least made it so much better.
Which one?
yeah, and
Gag, the tongue gag or the?
No, like every single one.
Oh, well, that would have made it better, I think.
it would have, because it really seemed like they were almost embarrassed by the effects work, so they cut it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the guy's done a ton of movies, right? Maybe this was one of his first ones, or one of the first few that he worked on, or whatever.
Well,
Maybe
a little piece of trivia before we get to Tim's trivia time is that this and part 3 were filmed literally back to back. Like there was
Yes.
like a week and a half, 2 weeks in between. So it's like I like I was saying, like some of the actual kills that happen in this, like just extended a little bit, like this couple seconds, this couple frames made the kill so much better. Like
Because Adam, I think you watched the same copy I did, didn't you?
Yeah, I think so. It was
Oh, yeah.
just standard like DVD copy. Like there was
Yeah.
nothing special about it. Yeah,
I didn't know there was one with more.
I gotta admit, I didn't know either.
they cut out like so much of it. I'm not sure if it was a ratings thing. I don't know if they were
Probably.
just embarrassed by by the special effects, like Aaron said. Like, I don't know, but all I know is that like the version I watched was very lame.
Boo earns.
Yeah,
Boo
boo
earns.
earns.
Yeah, slightly. Okay. I'm pretty
So
much.
who was the main couple? That was another pretty prevalent character, like the Angela of this film,
I
like
agree
the
with you on
blonde
that
girl.
one. I thought they were pretty. Like I thought they did a good job too. Like getting to be a couple and things like that. Other than like zeroing in on Ange and TC or whatever, I thought that they were the more.
Was this the one with the racist girl, or was that part 3?
That was part 3.
Okay.
Yeah, that was 3.
All right. They blurred together. They blended together.
They
I don't know
really
which one
do
I
blend
watched.
together.
I haven't watched 3 yet, boys. I haven't. That's what I didn't want to get it all confused.
But yeah, there was the young blonde girl who kind of did the same story arc as Angela in the original, where there's a boy at camp she likes, and there's a hotter girl that's trying to steal her boyfriend, and that whole shtick. I thought the casting was pretty bad on it because I didn't really believe this young blonde girl to be the shy Angela character. But other than that, she played the character as well as she could.
Yeah. The only other thing that I'll say about some of the characters that I did kind of like was, but it was cheap and corny. You had the 2 characters that decided that they were going to scare the girls, and one of them donned like a hockey mask,
Yeah.
which looked like the one from the cover of Part 5, The New Beginning, and painted some chevrons, like some really crappy chevrons on it. And the other guy took like a gardening glove and just put a bunch of knives on it. And they were gonna and he put like toilet paper and shit on his face. And they were gonna like go out and scare them like that. And in all honesty, with everything that happened in the movie, that was probably some of my favorite scenes. Was just because it was like cheap, cheesy. I could picture like me and my friends doing that kind of a shit at summer camp. We ain't got much to play with, so I'm gonna steal a couple knives
But
from the
if I remember correctly, doesn't she like combat them back with like fucking Leatherface?
Leatherface with
Which
the
was great.
chainsaw.
Which was great.
And well, she kills one of them and she stole the glove from the first one. He dropped it or something else, and then she kills him. And then she cuts off his face and puts it on hers and goes after his friend with his face on. It has like a leather face. Because this is the first time I've ever actually pictured it's like seen that's what it was. I just thought that she threw something on her face, but it's actually his friend's face.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when she first came into frame, I didn't immediately register this is Leatherface. I immediately went to Halloween 2 because the tears coming down, like the red coming down, I thought it was like a Michael Myers mask. And then when she started moving, I was like, oh, and the chainsaw, it's Leatherface, right? But like my first initial, oh shit, that's a Halloween 2 reference. No, it wasn't.
It was just a really bad Leatherface reference.
Yeah.
But it was one of my favorite things in the movie because it referenced, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre all in one scene, and it was kind of funny. So
Loved it.
I want to hear what Aaron has to say about the effects work, though.
Please
enlighten us here, Aaron.
Oh my gosh, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I didn't even write anything down, boys. You know what? I thought like the best death scene in this, or I shouldn't say death scene, but the best effect scene was the guy getting slashed in the throat with the glove. When the neck went back, it started to drip and everything. I thought that was the best. I mean, the guy that did the effects in this, Bill Johnston, he's worked on movies like Eight-Legged Freaks, like Hunger Games, Jacob's Ladder 2019, Goosebumps, The Ozark, Rampage. I mean, he's got a list of really cool movies. He did all the fake bodies for Zombieland, right? He did Halloween 2 in 2009. He worked on like stuff like The Patriot, RoboCop 3, Pet Cemetery 2, and Book of Eli, right? So you can see where his beginnings start. Like I said, I don't like to crap on anybody, shit on anybody, especially when they're first getting started and things. So I don't know what the I don't know what the director. I don't know why Tim they cut, and if that's the truth, why they cut these things down so much. Um, the fake skeleton and stuff from being burned, and then the second one, and uh, I don't know.
The head in the TV.
Yeah,
Oh
Man.
God, that fake head was so bad.
that was a distant shot, thank goodness, right? And I noticed that it looked like there were more bodies in the cabin than there were that she killed. I looked at all
Well, I
the bodies,
think
like
they were her victims from
from
the
Pat.
first Sleepaway camp, because that old cabin, I think, was the original camp. Wasn't that
Oh.
what they were going for?
I think that's what they were going for. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was a little camp that was 100 miles away, right? Like it just didn't jive for me. I was like, I don't know what's really going on here. I knew that she had her own little cabin up there, obviously,
Yeah.
because they were up there, right? Um,
Um,
some of the shots inside that cabin were okay. Uh, I'm having an issue remembering like all of the
Okay,
here.
I'll tell you.
uh,
Okay, let's elaborate on this for a minute here. Let's have some positivity for a second there.
I'm
What
trying.
was everybody's favorite death? Like, Aaron, just tell us what your favorite death was. Let's try to be positive.
I think the best. I think the best one that looked realistic. So the first one where, that takes place 5 minutes into the movie, where the girl gets hit in the side of the head with a log, and then she falls down, and then she cuts her tongue out apparently or whatever.
And
But
just leaves it on her.
just leaves it on, like that was so. Oh my gosh. She reaches down, and you can tell she's holding on to something in her hand. For one, she reaches down, and then she does the little cutting motion, and then this fake off-color tongue is sitting there, and just this little drip of blood comes on her chin. Now, to me, I think she was still alive when she hit the ground, and you're cutting one of the major muscles on your whole body, like that would bleed terribly. Ask anybody that gets their tongue.
Also, did you notice that the fucking girl kept winking?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like, and that mouth would have been just like, she just would have been spitting out blood and everything at that point, right? So at that point, I was like, uh-oh. So I kind of just sat back and was like, oh no, is this what it's going to be like? So that's why I said the glove where she comes kind of swipes the guy's throat, and then he tilts his head back, and you can see the slice, and it starts dripping. I was like, okay, that was decent. But the fake, the skeletons and shit that had just been burned, at the fire pit and things, like I could totally tell they were plastic. And yeah, Adam,
All right.
remind me about a couple others, because
All right, I want to hear what everybody else has to say first. Their favorite death scene. Josh, did you have a favorite? You gotta have a favorite death scene. Pick a damn death scene.
I don't know, man. Why is it that every time anyone had any sort of attack on them, they immediately fell to the ground? Like she took a log and it would hit someone, and then he's dead.
Oh.
Like, and the drill is where it lost me. I was like, why is there a drill in the car? It's a corded drill. What's it plugged into? And why?
Why is she saying a one-liner before she fucking
Why?
kills her?
Right. I don't know, man. I don't
Okay,
know.
so you don't have a favorite death. Okay, Tim.
I got a favorite death. My favorite death was it's simple. The death of a very promising fucking franchise called
Yeah, I
Sleepaway.
was thinking that, yeah.
That's my favorite death of this film.
Yeah.
It's the death of this
The
franchise.
death of a promising series.
The death of a
if you guys
promising
noticed, they
series.
used a lot of not direct death scenes, so you don't see the drill going into the flesh. They don't do a movement of the belly and it,
lame.
twisting
Lame.
it guts
And she
or
kept
something.
killing people with fucking
Weird
branches.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Like oak tree, a plug-in. Like maybe she had an auxiliary plug in that car, like what could handle
no,
that.
she didn't.
Stop.
She had an extension cord.
Stop.
That makes
And I
about
like
as
how
much
they set it up
sense.
after that. They're like, yeah, and things that are missing are, the girl's underwear and a drill.
They foreshadowed the hell out of it.
Yeah,
They're like, yeah, there's a whole bunch of things missing. And the battery for my car.
There was a lot of the indirect stuff in this, and I don't know why. Maybe that'll come up in the trivia later. But it was.
Who knows?
of indirect stuff, right? A ton of it, where you about to see the death, and then it flicks and blood splatters.
The greatest part of this film was the two young kids known as the Titty Patrol. They had me fucking dying every time they were on scene.
Oh man!
Angela's song inside the camp, you know, inside.
I'm
Happy
a happy camper.
Happy, like everybody was like super happy. And everybody wondered, like I'm sitting back going, "Holy shit!" If I was sitting there, I'd feel embarrassed. I'd be like, "I'm gonna go get myself another pancake." Or something,
Okay.
right? Like,
It was very eerie, like Stepford Wives-y.
yeah.
I'm just gonna tell you guys right off the bat. The funniest death scene in this entire movie is when she drowns the girl in the shitter full of leeches.
Yes.
Okay, so that's definitely one of the most memorable ones.
It's like
Right?
my favorite from the movie because if I
fucking
had to
noise.
choose one,
The noises it made.
Oh,
I know.
oh, that was the worst part of that, and it was good that she was gargling shit and stuff.
She kept coming up and her fucking mouth's open. I was like,
I know.
"Bitch, close your mouth. Is getting poop in there. Is that shit fucking dunking her down?"
It doesn't matter that she's drowning; she's getting poop in there. Oh man, that's brilliant.
The poop
Okay.
mouth, she kept coming up.
Oh
And
my.
every time she came
The
up,
sound
there was an
effect
extra
was
2 leeches, and
But you don't know with her leeches. Like that's the thing. I was like, is that
I thought
shit?
that was just poop.
Yeah, that's
No.
Why would there be leeches in the poop?
It was pretty clear to me it was leeches.
it was clear to me that it was leeches
Right.
too. But I know what Tim's saying. Why would there be leeches in the poop?
Right. Why?
Oh man. Okay.
I thought it was
All right.
I have a
Yeah. Poop all over her face.
if they cut some of the effects, if whoever made the decision to cut some of the effects because they were too gory or something, then no, they shouldn't have. They should have left. You know,
They probably
they
thought
made a
they
big
were too
mistake.
cheesy.
yeah, but
So that's what they left in?
They thought that was
I mean, it
worse.
definitely makes sense, the fact that a lot of the kills were cutaways,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
Like, you didn't actually see them on screen. That makes sense, but, I mean, if your effects are that bad, why the fuck are you making this movie?
well, this is the thing. I don't know why. I don't know if it was the effects, because I don't know if it was the person that was doing, or the people that were doing the effects. There's a very small, small cast or crew that actually did the special effects. There's only like one makeup artist, so maybe it was budget. Maybe it was like budget stuff that they were doing, and maybe they weren't, giving Bill enough, and he's like, yeah, we'll do it, but
I think it's going to be a mixture of budget and the way the director wanted to shoot it.
yeah.
It's probably that the way the director wanted to shoot it, the effects artist was basically like, it's gonna fucking suck if you do it this way. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
But it's gonna suck.
I see what you did
And
there.
it probably was crappy looking on the other end.
Yeah.
I don't think
Because the way, I mean, you know it as well as I do, Aaron. Sometimes
yeah.
if you have a real shot, like you got one shot to do a piece of effects work and you didn't have a big budget for it, so it's all about the camera angles and the tricks that you do.
Right.
If this was a budgetary issue and they did not do anything interesting to the camera angles to satisfy the look and the feel of it,
Right.
then you just ruined it.
Right.
So maybe they just cut it.
So this is the thing. This is why the director, producer, and effects people should really sit down and talk before a movie gets going. So they establish, and they do that these days now. Do they do it every time? I really don't know, but for most part, you have things that you have to build for the movie, right? With this, it looks like they were like, oh, we need one of these. Okay, well, I'll go build that right now and be back in 10 minutes. Right? That's what it felt like. So I don't.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what? If you look at movies like Halloween that had a non-existent budget, like watching the guy that fucking did the mask, Adam, what's his name? Tommy
Wallace?
Jim
Tommy
Carrey.
Wallace?
Tommy Lee
in that.
Wallace. Yeah,
Probably, yeah.
yeah. He said that he painted the iconic Michael Myers mask and had it done in 45 minutes. And they paid $2. Like, I just think it was a combination. Like, this movie shouldn't have been made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
garbage. It
it
was
had
garbage.
bad one line. Like it was written, the writing was not the most solid thing, and it just I don't know. It was a combination of everything being a little crappy.
It
Well,
did
and I mean, the
entertain me
thing,
though.
It it did me too because I managed to get through it. I wanted to see how it was going to end, but
yeah, but I mean, at what cost? You're never getting that fucking 80 minutes back. And like
I
the fact that they they wanted to hit that 80-minute mark. So, hey,
yeah,
let's have a flashback scene for no reason
right.
of all the scenes we just saw, but with a blue filter over it.
Yeah, what was
Like,
that?
it was 2 minutes long. They wanted to hit that 80-minute mark.
Yeah,
you're exactly on point with that one,
that's
Tim.
what I'm struggling with my effects part of it. I'll have better notes for number 3, maybe.
Maybe.
No, you won't. You won't.
No, you probably won't. Oh man.
Hey there, it's Deborah Voorhees from Friday the 13th, Part 5, and you are listening to They Cast from the Coast.
All right, and yeah, I'll. He got the poo on her. All right, Josh. I want to hear from Josh now. I want to know what Josh's notes actually say in this movie because he was entertained.
Watch
I,
it,
I
Josh-
like
I
this
can even
movie.
do
I'm
notes.
not gonna lie. I like this movie. It's nowhere near as good as the original.
Cheap, cheesy crap
It is.
slasher.
I
Go
eat
ahead.
that stuff up. Okay. My first viewing, Sleepaway Camp 2, June 21st, 2020, at 6:37 p.m. First, I just wrote Boyfriend Steve. That entertained me for some reason.
Steve.
Steve.
This
And then-
movie's gonna be great.
Someone yelled, "He screwed her!" And I was like, "Oh, classy." I did write. That's actually a really good way to set up the first film. I was a little worried how they were going to introduce that, and the fact that they're like kids at the camp and they're around the campfire and they're telling the story of the first one. It kind of summed up everything that needed to be said, so that you could go into this movie to be prepared to be
You
disappointed.
know where you're at. It's not disorienting. Like, you know.
Well, it was exactly what you got out of Part 2, Friday 13th Part 2. It's the same
Right.
thing. Sitting around the lodge telling the story of Jason.
Absolutely.
Good history lesson.
Dark-haired girl from the Facts of Life. For some reason, that cracked me up when they said that.
Yeah. I heard she became the dark-haired girl of the Facts of Life.
The atomic wedgie. You don't see that nowadays, but it was classic. A classic bully move.
Unfortunately.
Why the heck would they name this counselor Angela? Holy shit, that is the Angela. Yeah.
I love how we can literally see from Josh's notes the light bulb going on.
Yeah, I was sour. I was like, these motherfuckers just use the same name? Like, what? There's a
They're
million
recycling.
names. You don't need to use that name. You can pick a different name.
Oh.
Ah, yes. It's like the Homer Simpson moment. The Titty Patrol. These kids, man. You know, boys will be boys. These kids cracked me up, man.
The best part was how they handled them. They were just like, "Oh, boys," you
Yeah.
know, like what?
That mullet is on point.
Yes, it was.
The lean in when they ask her if she gets high. They're all like, "Do you get high?" And they all get like, they lean in and they're waiting for the answer. The Happy Camper song. I said, "LOL, the Tip Patrol strikes again. Those boys."
Oh, boys.
Party hats at 2:00. That's fucking nuts. She burned them.
The shit
Oh,
sisters.
that'd be the sisters, yeah. I said, that's fucking nuts. If you don't give them back to us, you're going to be seeing a lot of this. Isn't that exactly what the boys want? Like, they stole all the bras, and then the girl's like, well, if you don't give them back, you're going to be seeing a lot of bare titties. And it's like, you're a terrible negotiator, man.
Pretty sure that, yeah, they're pretty sure.
A drill, really? You're really starting to lose me here, guys. Molly was cast wrong, in my opinion. A pretty blonde doesn't say shy girl to me. Dead teenager brains. And it's funny because it probably was dead teenager brains in the bowl where they all had like spaghetti and peeled grapes.
Yeah,
and just, like,
the
what's in the
Halloween
bowl?
thing.
Oh, dead teenager brains. I wrote, she busted the titty patrol.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's it. That's the one. Was Angela in that set of pictures? Yes. Yeah.
Freddy reference for the win. Freddy and Jason. Freddy and Jason and Texas Chainsaw Massacre? What?
That's what I said, man.
And they wrote, did she really just kill the titty patrol? That's unfortunate.
Yeah, because she had them like pinned to the outside of
I
the
loved
friggin'...
their death, though. I loved how they were like...
good.
They died as they were in life.
Yeah. This series is pretty big on the homo slurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And then someone, after she banged that dude, she's like, you don't got the AIDS or anything, do you? I was like, oh, okay.
There's some bad references like that in the movie, yeah.
I like how she pulled the note out and then rechecked it. Like, the note says meet here at 6, and she gets there and she pulls it out. You're like, yeah, says meet here at 6.
Still
Okay.
says it.
Still says it. It's 3
Still
words,
says 6
but
o'clock.
okay.
That's all right.
What the fuck? Toilet scene. Seriously, barf.
She got the poo on her.
Not what I said. I said the poo's gonna go in her mouth.
A comic moment that I think may be underrated here. When she's trying to pick out the weapon, and she's like going through the room, and she's like lifting things up, and she's like, yeah, that's got some girth. And she's just picking up things and walking around looking at the weapons. I thought that was great.
Picked up a radio, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was like, dude, go like this, yeah.
But then again, she's killing people left and right with like sticks, so I don't know. Angela's kind of broken her own rules. This poor girl did nothing wrong. She's just killing in self-preservation at this point.
Yep.
He died from a cup of coffee.
Nope.
I've never seen coffee
Battery
so
acid.
hot.
That was battery acid.
Oh, is that what it was?
Because her exact quote afterwards was, "I knew your battery would come in handy," and it was like sitting in the sink. She was like scooping out battery acid from it.
Okay, that makes more sense. I thought the guy literally just died from a glass of hot coffee.
It took me a second too, Josh, to figure that out, but she didn't say it super clear, so it was like, did she just say battery? Oh, the battery, right? Okay.
And it makes sense because the battery was missing from earlier in the lost and found scene, I guess.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, I'm completely cured. I don't believe you.
Yeah, her actual rant about being completely cured now. I'm fine.
I really dislike how everyone passes out immediately with any form of impact in this film. So, what the fuck? She killed the trucker too? She's relentless. And then, howdy partner. That's the big twist. Howdy partner. I will say that is the biggest disappointment of this film to me. That you set this franchise up as being the best twist at the end of a horror movie. And then you give me howdy partner.
And just how like it zoomed it. She's like, what?
Howdy, partner.
Howdy, partner.
Say what? Yeah.
Oh man. That would appear to be Josh's notes, right?
That is my notes.
All right, Josh.
What's the deal with the two making out in the bathroom though? I mean, that was way drug out. You know, they got the candles lit. They're making all you.
Yeah, that was weird.
You got moaning and groaning going on, and I'm like, what's going on in there?
And it's not like the door was actually closed. Like Angela comes up to it, and it's a screen door.
Right.
It's like I can see.
They were literally trying to.
Yeah, they were trying to bang.
80 minutes.
Right, but I mean, like you're sitting there going, "Oh man, they've got to be completely buck ass naked," and they're getting it, and then they get in there and they still have all their clothes on, and she's moaning and doing this weird thing up, and I'm like, "What? Really?"
I don't. Who lights candles
do that.
that go for a bathroom romp and then light up some candles and some music. Like,
Oh,
The
that's
best
like
the best was her excuse. Angela was like, "Are you okay? I heard moaning," and she's like, "It's that time of the month."
right.
It's
Wasn't
like,
that last
what?
week?
Yeah, wasn't that last week? Like Angela's keeping track. Like, no, I'm sorry, that was last week for you, girly girl.
Yeah.
What's going on in here?
That scene just went on way too long.
It's a little, yeah, weird. Okay, Tim, do you have some trivia for us?
I have a bunch.
All right, everybody, it's time for trivia time with Tim.
Yay. All right, so the first one, which is quite what bugged me about this movie. Felissa Rose was asked to return as Angela Baker, and she did a reading, but didn't quite click with the comedy and the one-liners, and yeah, she basically just decided to go to college instead, and we ended up
Good for
with
her.
Pamela Springsteen. On that note, I feel Pamela was good, a good choice, but I feel like this movie would have benefited more if it was just its own thing and not Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah, you know what? I'll accept that for sure. If this was not Sleepaway Camp 2 and the following Sleepaway Camp 3, if it was like, Away We Sleep Camp or some shit, you know what I
Or
mean?
if
Like,
this was like, if this was Sleepaway Camp, like the first one, and we never got the Felissa Rose one, I probably wouldn't be as hard on this movie as I was. Right? But back to
Fair.
trivia time.
Fair enough.
This film was shot in Waco, Georgia, and it was at a camp formerly known as Camp Waco. It's now private property. Most of the buildings used in the film are now gone, except the restroom, abandoned cabin, and the swimming pool. Those are the only things that remain.
And the swimming pool, may I say, was pretty dirty. I don't think
Yeah.
I'd swim.
I don't know if you guys noticed this. You probably did. If not, whatever. I'll enlighten your minds right now. Pretty much every single character in this movie is named after a famous teen heartthrob of the time.
okay.
We got the characters Charlie and Emilio, which are obviously named after
Sheens.
Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez. We also have Molly Ringwald, Sean for Sean Penn, Allie for Allie Sheedy, TC for Tom Cruise, Uncle John for John Hughes, Rob for Rob Lowe, Demi for Demi Moore, Lee for Leah Thompson, Brooke for Brooke Shields, Jodie Foster, Anthony Michael Hall, Judge Nelson. You see what I'm getting at. Like I said earlier, this was shot back to back at the very same location as its sequel, Sleepaway Camp 3, Teenage Wasteland. Both finished filming within 6 weeks. They made 2 of these movies in 6 weeks, and you can tell. Yeah.
Yeah.
The wrestler, Chris Jericho, this is his favorite all-time slasher. Okay, Chris Jericho.
Why?
I don't know. One of the campers mentions the TV show, The Facts of Life.
Yep.
Pamela Springsteen made a guest appearance on the show several years earlier.
Okay.
That's cool.
The model to portray Angela for the original VHS box art is Connie Craig. Pamela was unavailable for the photo shoot that day. So why wouldn't you just fucking wait?
Yeah.
You're not going to put the star on it? Because that's what always confused me. Because when you see the cover of Sleepaway Camp 2, it's an iconic... She's got the pack, she's got the mask and the glove hanging out. It
Dude.
would have been better if it was the fucking star of the movie. Yeah.
Evil Dead did the exact same fucking thing.
Yeah, she was not. Yeah.
She had nothing to do with the film.
Well, and not only that, wasn't it part 3, Teenage Wasteland? The cover of that is not even Pamela Springsteen. It's like some other chick.
Just some chick with a backpack.
Yeah.
Some chick with a backpack. The body count in this movie was 18. However, whether or not Molly survived at the end is unknown. We don't know.
Well,
What
it's
a
totally
mystery.
not.
Oh, what a great twist.
Yeah,
Howdy,
what a great
partner.
twist. The sex scene between Allie and Rob was actually with Valerie Hartman and an extra because the character playing Rob was only a minor during filming,
Yeah.
so there was a lot of that. Like the oh, just hold on, someone's fucking calling me.
Jeepers.
I'm
You tell them
declining.
you're busy.
Wow. Real professional, Tim.
Hey, busy guy. Time is money.
One of the
Anyways.
is calling.
When Angela and TC are arguing over the pornographic pictures, she tells them they should be sent home. And TC says, "No way, Uncle John's never going to go for that. Charlie and Amelia are going to be have been coming here for years." This is a reference to Renee Estevez. Molly is actually the younger sister of Charlie Sheen and Amelia Estevez.
What?
Yeah, Molly is actually like an Estevez. Renee Estevez is her name.
Okay.
So that's the end of Trivia Time with Tim.
Trivia time with Tim.
Hopefully,
That was some
these
solid
out
trivia.
there watching it, it didn't seem so, you know,
Too mechanical.
too mechanical and all that.
You had your shit put together.
Oh,
and-
the
and-
shit-
oh,
the shit
there you
beat.
go.
Ah!
Poop in her mouth.
She got the poop in her mouth. Aaron's sitting there watching it just to recollect what the hell he had watched earlier. So
Yeah, I keep peering up at it here and there just to.
Oh man. All right, guys.
Remember.
It's time that we put our thoughts down. So, Aaron, I want you to give your final thoughts and rate this movie, please.
No. Okay. It was 80 minutes of pure bliss.
Aaron, you're never getting that time back.
I know that's what I'm saying.
Ever. Again.
I'm being very sarcastic when I say that.
Okay.
I can't say that I absolutely, hate this movie. I don't hate it. But it's not something that I'll go back and probably watch for a very long time, right? I'll be like, I haven't seen that for a while. Let's give that a whirl in the, probably 20 years from now or whatever.
Oh yeah, that movie exists.
Right. And then I'll be like, why did I do that again? Right? Can't get 160 minutes back or whatever. I really think that they could have done a lot better. And it sounds to me from Trivia with Tim that they rushed these they rushed these two films. They just wanted to get them out because they had number one out there. Number one probably did a good job, it saw a lot of feedback. A lot of people liked it. So they're like, okay, we're going to get 2 and 3 out and we'll get the maximum amount of cash out of these, right? That we possibly can. That's what it seemed like to me. I thought that the acting was very lacking. For an 80s kind of slasher film, I guess I'll give it a little bit of a break because every 80s film has kind of got its little nuances when it comes to, that kind of thing. But some of the one-liners and everything are just brutal. The effects in it, I think the guy, I think he was starting out or he was limited drastically when he was asked to do this film. And that sucks because it feels to me like it was unfinished with the effects stuff. I really think that you could see close-ups of the drill going into the person's gut or whatever, pulling out an intestine with it, or something like that, right? Maybe they were doing it to keep the rating board happy or whatever. But anyway, that's my 2 cents on this. Over the past few weeks, I've had nothing but X's, and this ain't getting an X.
What?
No. I'm sorry, John. I'm sorry.
So what is it getting, Aaron?
I'm gonna give it a good.
G for good.
G
It's
for
it's a good movie.
Well,
But you got it.
I was balancing between S for
Shit.
and good. So, but I can't dismiss it. It's got its parts and pieces that are okay and things like that. And I didn't totally hate it. So that's why I'm giving it a G.
All right. Good job. Tim.
Oh. Okay, so as we established in part one is a fucking masterpiece.
Yep.
Right? It took a premise and turned it on its head, and like you weren't expecting it, and it was just like that ending still scars me, right? Um, and the fact that Felissa Rose was so good in it, you know, the all the characters were so good in it. So like coming to the sequel, you're expecting more of that. Like the first one set this fucking expectation of this is the type of movie I'm going to see. And what we ended up getting was a very watered down rehash of every other fucking not only slasher, but the slasher that takes place at a fucking camp. Okay? Like it was a parody of itself, and like I can't get behind that. Like there was like if the story was shit and it had good special effects, or the story was shit, it had good special effects, and the comedy was good, I could forgive the fact that the story was shit. But none of those things were good. There was no good special effects. There was no memorable characters. Pamela Springsteen is really the only breakout star in this shit show of a. I'm giving it an S. This movie was shit. This movie was
Whoa!
shit. I wanted it to be over so bad. I had my phone out 10 minutes into the movie. Like I hated this. Wait till you hear what I say about part 3. Oh,
I can't wait to hear what you say about well, not part 4, technically part 5, because that's a whole nother discussion that we're going to talk about when we talk about part 3, the existence / non-existence about part 4. But moving on. Rated S.
Yeah, I rated S for shit. This movie was shit.
Nicely said. You wanted to say one more thing, though? No.
Fuck you,
moving
Adam.
on. Josh, please give us the goods.
Look, man, this movie started off real strong for me. The effects weren't the greatest in the world, but that's okay. You know, it gave me like a low budget throwback, cheesy kind of B movie feel, and I like that shit. It had lots of deaths. Unfortunately, not enough of them were distinct enough to remember. There were too many that were just like bonks on the heads and cups of what I thought was coffee being thrown in your face. The biggest lack for me is that there was no twist. So it was no longer a whodunit movie. It was, like Tim said, almost a parody of a slasher. And as a slasher, it doesn't hold up with the other amazing slashers out there. The best part of Sleepaway Camp was the whodunit aspect. So I do disagree on the comedy aspect, though. This movie had me fucking laughing so much. I thought it was so funny. So I got to give it at least a PG, and I was honestly teetering towards R, but I'm going to stick it at PG because the movie isn't great by any means, but I'm going to give it a pretty good.
Okay. Wow, I was not expecting that. Okay.
You would have broke out an X.
It does hit a couple of the.
Wow.
Tim's right too.
Yeah, oh yeah. The movie is bad, but I just happen to like bad movies.
Yeah.
I like bad movies too. There's a bunch of bad movies I like, but this isn't ironically bad.
Yeah.
Bad.
This is just terrible. Like,
It's just bad.
yeah, there are movies that are so bad they're
The
good.
one-liners aren't even good, man.
No, they're cheesy. They're horrible.
I mean,
Okay.
It got a 5.7 on IMDb. Like,
It's people thinking back to the 80s when they were high watching this movie
Yeah.
is what it was, man.
probably.
Oh, man, I haven't seen this movie in 20 years, but I remember it was so awesome that time. 7 out of 10. Whatever. It's not how you rate something. So,
It's
the
not.
right... No. So,
Fuck.
the writing in this movie is terrible. The acting in this movie, for the most part, is terrible. The casting for this movie is terrible. There's only a couple of saving graces in this movie. One, and I brought it up earlier, the shit toilet drowning scene is like, I laughed my ass off so hard, but
Hysterical.
I was almost cheering. I was
Yeah.
like, this is like the best part of the damn movie. Like from start to finish, it's like my favorite thing.
That's pretty sad when someone fucking getting drowned in shit is the best part of the movie.
Hey, man.
Speaks to it. It speaks to it. It speaks
Like,
to it.
Josh,
I like to think.
understand. No, Josh, it's understandable that is your fascination. Okay, like anytime there's poop,
It's true. It's
like,
true.
right?
It's true.
That's
I'm a simple
understandable.
man. I'm a simple man.
taste. Yeah.
I like
Simple
to think
man.
that's the outhouse where the goddamn enchiladas were dropped.
Wow. I don't know, man. Like I said, it's just this movie was just it wasn't good.
No,
It wasn't good. Well, Adam, continue your thoughts. Do you
All right.
share many of the same sentiments?
I think he
do.
does.
I think
I
wish
you
he
know
was
I
started.
do.
That's what it
think
sounds
it's sweet.
like.
Oh man. So you can tell that the effects work were pulled back. So there's obviously, like Tim said, there's more effects work to be seen out there for this, but they pulled it back,
It
and
could
that was a
just be
problem.
deleted scenes added back into the movie.
It could just be. It could be. The only two saving graces in this entire movie: one, yes, the drowning and shit and leeches scene, and two, Pamela Springsteen herself, because it wasn't the same Angela, it was a different Angela. And I look at this movie going, this is after 5 years in an institution, and she's a changed person at this. Like, I'm better, you know what I mean?
But
Like,
that doesn't even bother
yay!
me. Like, I almost felt like a lot of her performance when she was over the top reminded me of her stepmom from the first one.
True.
Yeah, and that's
Right?
what I'm saying. Like, she actually references her aunt
He
quite a
does.
few times in
Yeah.
this movie. So I feel that it's almost like it's a given that she's gone the entire separate route now. She's a different person, so she's taken on a different personality that she's used to almost, right? She's basically become her aunt as a serial killer.
But her reasons for killing people were so lame.
Yeah. Oh, you talked to the boys tonight. Cut your tongue out and hit you in the head with a friggin' thing. And you
A
smoke
stick?
too much. Yeah, a stick. You smoke
You
too
didn't
much
move.
weed. I'm gonna burn you alive.
Yeah. You get clubbed in the head with the size of the stick that she hit her with, she wouldn't be sitting there going, you know, like
Aaron, I think you acted that out better than she did. Like,
that's probably. But she did. If you look back at it, it hits her in the head and she stands there
and then she falls.
and she falls over. Right? If I got clocked in the side of the head with a big tree trunk, I think I'd be on the ground instantly.
Okay, so only because Pamela Springsteen did a good job with the character, it's not the same Angela. It is not the same Angela to me. She did a good job with that version of the character, and the shit drowning scene with the leeches. Only because of those two scenes.
And what
because
about the titty patrol? That
Okay,
was
they were
hysterical.
they were
They're two
funny.
young little boys, and they're get their Polaroid camera catching the boobies.
They were funny, but they almost became annoying at certain points. It
No.
was just like it was like there's no arc to them except for just to take pictures of boobs.
How'd they take
What
those
more of an
photos
arc do you need?
flat?
They're teenage boys.
Once again, the guy at the friggin' table at the meeting going, boobs!
Yeah.
You know, and that's like, boom, now it's a big part of the movie.
Yep.
Just because of those two scenes alone, I'm going to give the movie a G.
Ah, very well.
Okay.
Because it did make me laugh.
Yep.
And I was interested in certain parts of it. I can't totally give it a rated S for shit because there was still something entertaining about the movie. In
Not
some ways.
super entertaining though. It's not like you're
Not
gonna watch
super
it again.
entertaining. Yeah, I'm
anytime
not going to
soon.
go out of my way. Now, we're probably going to have an entirely different discussion when it comes to part 3 next week, guys, but let's just leave it at this, okay? So, anything else anybody wants to add about this movie?
Do you want my
before we call
rating
it?
just to get it out of the way for part 3?
No. No. We can always assume what it's going to be, Tim, because it can't get any better
I
than what it
almost
was.
feel like I need to make up my own rating worse than shit.
Maybe it's white dog turd, like the
The-
one that's been left in the ground for so long.
Double dookie diarrhea.
Double dookie. Damn enchilada.
Damn enchilada. Yeah, I rate this a DA.
This is
What?
Damn enchilada.
DE.
Enchilada starts with E, fella.
Whatever.
I rate this a DE. Damn enchilada. All right, guys. All
Yeah,
right,
man,
it's time to
Armadillos.
close this up. We're done with this conversation for the night. It's going on way too long as it is. So I just want to take a moment to thank everybody who's taken the time to actually tune in here. And, thank you very much. And don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Misunderstood Art Company. We post videos every week of our content. We're also on YouTube, Misunderstood Art Company. Like, subscribe, share everything. Tell everybody about this show. And we're also producing all of these episodes on all the major podcasting platforms, including but not limited to Google Play, iTunes, and Spotify. And we're also on Patreon, by the way. So open up your hearts and your wallets. And it's coming close to haunting season, so I'm going to throw this out here. So for anybody who knows us, knows that we love horror, and we are on the East Coast in Nova
We like
Scotia.
horror?
We love horror. We're in Nova Scotia. If you are like us and you check out the haunted houses every year, Phantom's Freak Show is kicking off soon enough, and everybody, you got to make the opportunity to come down. So I'm going to tell you right now, it's for a good cause. We have a good bunch of people, so please do yourself a favor. Phantom's Freak Show.
What
Until
a
next time.
shameless plug.
You do
Shameless.
not want to miss this
You
year.
sold
I'll tell you
out,
that.
Adam. You sold out.
Thank
Can
you.
I get a plug on a better movie though?
It doesn't exist yet. It doesn't exist yet. Until next time, Josh,
Good night, campers.
Aaron,
Stay away from the enchiladas.
With an
and
A.
Right.
the
Enchiladas.
enchiladas,
Enchiladas.
and Tim.
Stay spooky, everybody.
All right. Thank you, everybody, once again. See you next time.
Good night.